Captain Kleck perched on the edge of the observation deck at United Fleet Station Omega, his four eyes blinking furiously as he tried to make sense of the whirlwind of human activity below. What in the galaxy was going on down there? As the Zushian Alliance's top scholar on human military structure, he'd spent years memorizing their chain of command, priding himself on knowing every rank, every protocol. But now, his antenna twitched so violently it nearly snapped. No, 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 this can't be right, he muttered, clutching his data pad so tightly it creaked against his shimmering exoskeleton. Something was terribly, wonderfully wrong. On the sprawling landing pad below, a human battlecruiser had just docked, its gleaming hull still radiating heat from its journey. The ship's commander, Captain Parker. Oh, what a sight. A decorated officer, his chest practically glowing with insignia that screamed authority, strode across the deck, barking orders to his crew as they offloaded crates of supplies. It was all so orderly, so predictable, exactly as Kleck's meticulously compiled notes had described. But then, a human female appeared, striding toward the scene like she owned the entire station. She was short, her white medical garments flapping as she moved, and, wait, what? No rank insignia, not a single metallic pin or fabric patch to indicate her place in the hierarchy. Kleck's mandibles clicked in disbelief. Who was this woman, and why wasn't she saluting Captain Parker? What happened next nearly sent Kleck's data pad crashing to the floor. Captain Parker, she called, her voice slicing through the din of the landing pad. These wounded need to be moved now. Your cargo can wait. Kleck's eyes bulged. How dare she? How dare this rankless nobody speak to a ship commander with such audacity? In the Zushian military, such insubordination would have landed her in a disciplinary pod faster than you could say court-martial. He leaned forward, gripping the railing, waiting for Captain Parker to put her in her place. But, oh, stars above, Parker didn't even flinch. Instead, he nodded, his face calm as if she'd just asked him to pass the salt. Yes, Doc, right away, he said, and with a wave of his hand, his entire loading crew pivoted to assist her. Doc, what in the name of the great nebula was a doc? Kleck's claws flew across his data pad, searching his exhaustive database of human military ranks. General, Admiral, Captain, Lieutenant, nothing. No mention of this mysterious doc anywhere. He watched, his antenna quivering with a mix of horror and fascination, as this woman, this doc, continued to issue orders that were obeyed without question. And then, as if the universe itself wanted to toy with him, an admiral arrived on the scene, his uniform dripping with enough metals to sink a small ship. Surely, Kleck thought, this officer would restore order. But no, the doc raised a hand, her voice firm but calm. Coming through, got critical patience here. And the admiral, and Admiral stepped aside like a junior cadet. Kleck's scales flushed pale blue, a sure sign of intellectual distress. His research assistant, junior observer Zepp, scuttled up beside him, his own antenna wobbling. Sir, are you okay? You look like you've seen a supernova. Kleck's voice trembled with the thrill of discovery. Zepp, my boy, do you realize what we're witnessing? A gap, a monumental gap, in our understanding of human command structure. This doc wields some kind of invisible authority that defies their entire military hierarchy. Zepp's eyes widened. Should I alert Central Command? This could be huge. Kleck shook his head, his gaze locked on the scene below as the doc orchestrated the movement of wounded soldiers with the precision of a conductor. No, Zepp, not yet. We observe. This could be the greatest breakthrough since we cracked the mystery of their coffee rituals. He scribbled a note on his data pad. Doc rank. Universal authority, no visible insignia. More powerful than Sergeant Major? Urgent investigation required. The implications hit him like a meteor shower. How many other secret ranks did humans have? How had they built a system where authority could exist without color-coded badges or ceremonial stripes? Kleck settled into his observation post, his antenna practically dancing with anticipation. This was going to be the study of a lifetime. The Zushian Alliance's military structure was, in Kleck's humble opinion, a thing of beauty. Every soldier had their place, every rank had its color. Purple for generals, blue for captains, green for lieutenants, and so on. No ambiguity, no chaos, just pure, crystalline order. Humans, though? They were a puzzle wrapped in a riddle, doused in something called hot sauce. First contact with them 3 standard cycles ago had been eventful, to say the least. A Zushian exploration vessel had stumbled across a human mining operation in the Proxima Centauri system, and the humans, in their infinite unpredictability, had decided to celebrate by sharing a fiery liquid called tequila. The aftermath was still classified, but whispers among the ranks spoke of 2 Zushian admirals attempting a human dance called the Macarena while singing off-key. Kleck shuddered at the thought. Diplomacy was a dangerous game. Captain Kleck, Commander Blitz's voice crackled through the communication system, yanking him from his memories. Your latest report on this dock phenomenon has central command in a tizzy. Explain it again. What's going on with these humans? Kleck adjusted his ceremonial blue stripes, ensuring they gleamed perfectly. Commander, since we began joint operations with humans 6 months ago, I've documented 47 instances of these docks wielding authority outside their normal chain of command. It's astonishing. Blitz's tone carried a frustrated click. How does their system even work without color-coded ranks? How do they know who's in charge? Kleck activated his holo display, pulling up his research notes. Humans use small metallic pins or fabric patches on their uniforms. But here's the kicker, sir. These docks often wear no military indicators at all. Just white garments, sometimes with odd symbols like snakes wrapped around sticks. Can you believe it? Preposterous. Blitz barked. How do they know who to obey? Kleck's antenna twitched with excitement. That's the magic of it, sir. They just know. I've seen a doc walk into a room full of high-ranking officers, declare a quarantine, and within minutes, even their top brass are jumping to follow orders. It's like they're under a spell. Blitz's antenna drooped. Have you ruled out mind control? Kleck chuckled. Check that in week 2, sir. No psychic activity, though their obsession with coffee might explain their hyperactive tendencies. Did you know they drink it by the gallon? Blitz pulled up footage from recent joint exercises, where Zushian troops in their gleaming rank colors moved in perfect sync, while the humans, well, they got the job done, but their chaos made Kleck's scales itch. When we started these operations, Blitz said, we thought we had their structure figured out. Generals, admirals, captains, and so on. But these docks, they're outside it all. Kleck nodded so enthusiastically his rank indicators jingled. And it's not just docks, sir. There's a Master Chief that even generals treat with deference. And don't get me started on the supply sergeant, a being of terrifying influence. Blitz whispered, by the first egg, how deep does this rabbit hole go? Kleck's eyes gleamed. Permission to keep digging, sir? Understanding these hidden power structures could make or break our joint operations. Blitz sighed. Granted, but for STAR's sake, be careful. We can't afford another fiasco like the coffee incident. Kleck winced, recalling the near disaster when a Zushian officer swapped the humans' coffee for algae smoothies. 3 human sergeants had nearly declared war. Understood, sir, he said. I'll tread lightly, but I have to know, what makes a dock a dock? The joint training exercise on Moon Base Alpha was a masterpiece of coordination, at least for the first 4 minutes and 23 seconds. Kleck watched with pride as Zushian troops, their rank colors shining, moved in lockstep with their human counterparts. But then disaster. Alert, alert. Chemical leak in Section 7, blared the speakers. General Rodriguez, the base commander, sprang into action. All personnel, evacuate through the main corridor to belay that order. A voice cut through the chaos like a laser. Dr. Sarah Chun, the base's chief medical officer, stepped forward, her white coat fluttering, that snake stick symbol glinting on her lapel. Kleck nearly choked on his translation device. The nerve. Interrupting a general? He fumbled for his recording equipment. This was gold. The main corridor runs past the chemical storage facility, Dr. Chen declared, her voice radiating that unshakable dock authority. Everyone will evacuate through the maintenance tunnels now. General Rodriguez, a grizzled veteran with 3 decades of service, didn't bat an eye. You heard the doc. Maintenance tunnels, move it, people. Kleck's jaw dropped as hundreds of troops, human and Zushian alike, switched course without a peep. Zepp, his assistant, was practically vibrating. But, he stammered. his antenna twisting into knots. The general has purple rank indicators. The doc has nothing. This breaks every protocol we have. Kleck grinned, his scales tingling with the thrill of discovery. Zep, my boy, this is why we study humans. They're chaos incarnate, and it works. Now, let's keep watching. I have a feeling this doc is about to teach us something extraordinary. Chaos erupted in the cramped maintenance tunnels of Moonbase Alpha, and Captain Kleck could barely keep up with the whirlwind of human and Zushian soldiers scrambling through the narrow passages. What was happening? His four eyes darted frantically as a group of human sergeants dashed past, their boots pounding the metal floor, shouting directions to guide the evacuation. One sergeant, a burly man with a grin as wide as a supernova, overheard junior observer Zep's confused muttering and let out a hearty laugh. First time seeing Doc pull rank, huh? Just wait till she gets really fired up. You ain't seen nothing yet. Kleck's antenna twitched violently. Fired up? How much more intense could this mysterious Doc get? The evacuation pressed on, Zushian soldiers awkwardly folding their extra appendages to squeeze through the tight tunnels, their gleaming rank colors glinting in the dim light. Kleck, clutching his data pad like a lifeline, shuffled along, his recorder whirring as Dr. Sarah Chin's voice sliced through the chaos again. You two, grab the emergency medkits from storage room B now. You three, help me set up a triage point right here. And someone, for the love of all that's holy, get me coffee. The good stuff, not that vending machine sludge. Kleck's mandibles clicked in disbelief. Coffee? In the middle of a crisis? Yet, her orders were obeyed with lightning speed, as if she'd cast a spell over the entire base. Even more jaw-dropping, a Zushian medical officer, resplendent in the prestigious silver-blue stripes of senior rank, quietly stepped aside when Dr. Chin pointed to where she wanted equipment placed. Zep leaned in, his voice a frantic whisper. Captain, this is madness. Our protocols, don't you remember the Unified Rank Agreement of 2157? It clearly states that command authority in joint operations follows a strict hierarchy. This doc is completely outside the system. What is she doing? Kleck opened his mouth to respond, but before he could form a single word, Dr. Chun materialized in front of them, a whirlwind of energy. How did she move so fast? She was simultaneously checking a data pad, sipping coffee from a steaming mug, and barking orders without missing a beat. You two, perfect timing. I need your help. Those extra arms of yours, they're going to be a godsend for holding multiple 4 bags. Let's move. Kleck's legs obeyed before his brain could catch up, scuttling after her like a cadet on their first day. But we haven't filled out the proper forms for medical assistance reassignment, he stammered, his scales flushing pale blue. Dr. Chun didn't even look up, expertly sliding in 4 into a patient's arm with one hand. Honey, she said, raising an eyebrow with a smirk. I've got possible chemical exposure victims here. Forms can wait. Lives can't. Kleck's antenna froze. Honey? Did she just call him honey? The audacity. Yet, he found himself nodding, swept up in her unstoppable momentum. The next 2 hours were a blur of frenetic activity, a symphony of organized chaos conducted by Dr. Chun. She orchestrated a complex medical response, treating humans and Zexians alike for chemical exposure, issuing orders to generals as if they were interns, and completely ignoring every protocol Kleck had ever studied. And somehow, she found time to teach 3 junior medics proper treatment techniques, her voice calm and encouraging even as she worked at breakneck speed. How was this woman real? When the crisis finally subsided, Kleck collapsed into a chair in the debriefing room, his data pad overflowing with observations. Commander Blitz's hologram flickered to life, his antenna twitching with concern. Report, Captain. How many protocols were violated during this fiasco? Kleck glanced at his notes, his mandibles clicking nervously. By our standards, sir, approximately 73. But can you believe it? It worked. The doc's unorthodox commands led to 0 casualties and minimal exposure effects. It's nothing short of a miracle. Blitz's eyes narrowed. Fascinating. And the human general just allowed this. Kleck's antenna wiggled with excitement. Allowed? Sir, he enforced her orders. When a lieutenant dared question the evacuation route, General Rodriguez snapped, and I quote, "When Doc speaks, You better listen, son, unless you want to find yourself scheduled for surprise vaccinations for the next year. Kleck paused, letting the weight of that threat sink in. Vaccinations? What kind of power did this woman wield? Blitz's antenna twitched thoughtfully. Perhaps we've been looking at command structures all wrong. Could it be that humans have cracked some secret to effective leadership we've missed? Kleck nodded eagerly. Sir, there's more. Dr. Chun is now insisting all Zishin medical personnel attend what she calls emergency response training tomorrow morning. It's not even in the protocol schedule. And get this, she said, and I quote, "Protocols don't save lives, people save lives." Oh, and she's demanding better coffee in all medical facilities. Says it's non-negotiable. Blitz was silent for a long moment, his scales shimmering with a mix of awe and resignation. Add premium coffee dispensers to all joint medical facilities immediately. If today taught us anything, it's that you don't mess with document stars. Help us if we try. The research lab aboard the Zishin flagship hummed with frenetic energy, holographic displays flickering with human rank structures, medical symbols, and an ever-growing web of wild theories. Kleck pointed at a screen replaying footage of Dr. Chun ordering a squadron of Marines around like they were her personal assistants. Look at this team. According to human regulations, she's technically a civilian contractor. Yet here she is, telling elite warriors to, get this, drop and give me 20 push-ups for forgetting their annual checkups. Can you imagine the nerve? Zepp raised 3 of his hands, his eyes gleaming with a wild idea. Sir, hear me out. What if Doc is a secret rank above Supreme Commander? Think about it. Her white coat. White contains all colors. It's like she's the ultimate authority. Kleck's mandibles clicked with intrigue. Brilliant, Zepp. Add it to the theory board. He glanced at their list, now a chaotic tapestry of speculation. Asterisk docs are ancient human warrior priests. The snake symbol grants mystical authority. Humans are terrified of needles. Docs have coffee-fueled mind control. White coats are stealth command suits. Asterisk each theory was crazier than the last, yet none felt entirely impossible. The door hissed open, and Commander Blitz stormed in, looking like he'd just survived a supernova. Captain, what's this nonsense about requisitioning 1,000 human medical journals and a coffee machine? Are you serious? Kleck stood tall, his blue stripes gleaming. Essential research, sir. We must understand this. Yesterday, I saw a doc tell an admiral to sit down and shut up. The admiral did, and then thanked her. Who does that? Blitz's antenna drooped. What have you learned so far? Kleck activated his presentation hollow, his voice brimming with excitement. We've identified subcategories of doc, sir. There's the standard doc, the super doc, they call them specialists, and the elusive head document. But here's the kicker. They don't follow any logical hierarchy. A junior doc can override a super doc based on something called a specialty. It's chaos. Blitz's scales paled. That makes no sense. How do they function? Kleck grinned. It gets wilder, sir. They have places called hospitals where military authority just vanishes. Even their highest-ranking generals say please and thank you to docs. Zepp piped up, practically bouncing. Captain, you won't believe what I saw in the mess hall. A doc walked in, took one look at a Marine's lunch tray, and said, no, just no. This Marine, who I saw demolish 3 training robots with his bare hands, immediately swapped his French fries for a salad. A salad, sir. Blitz rubbed his mandibles, muttering, most perplexing. Should we assign a new color for their medical personnel? Purple with white stripes, perhaps? Kleck winced. We tried that last week, sir. Dr. Chin shut it down, saying, I didn't spend 8 years in medical school to play dress up. The white coat stays. Can you believe it? Blitz's antenna shot up. 8 years of training? That's longer than our entire military academy. Kleck nodded. And that's just the start. They have residency and fellowships. Some docs train for over a decade to earn their authority. No wonder they command without rank. Just then, an alert flashed on Kleck's datapad, and his scales turned ghostly pale. Sir, Dr. Chin's discovered our research project. She's requesting our presence in the medical bay for a comprehensive educational session on human medical hierarchy. Zepp's antenna quivered. Is that good or bad? Kleck frowned. Her message ends with LOL and a winky face. I don't know what that means, but it's terrifying. Blitz backed toward the door, his voice hurried. I just remembered urgent commander business elsewhere. Very urgent. Captain, you have my permission to proceed. Just keep that coffee machine stocked. As Blitz fled, Kleck turned to his team, his mandibles set. All right, team, let's face the doc herself. Zep, grab the good coffee. It's our only hope. The crisis that sparked it all began during a routine joint fleet exercise near Jupiter's orbit. 15 human ships and 12 Zishian vessels were gliding through standard maneuvers when a distress call shattered the calm. Mayday, mayday. This is Mining Station Europa 7. We've got a massive pressure breach and multiple casualties. Unknown contagion in the medical bay? We need help now. Kleck watched from the bridge of the Zishian support vessel, his antenna twisting as the human fleet's command structure transformed in an instant. Dr. Chin's voice boomed across all channels, sharp and commanding. This is Chief Medical Officer Chun. All ships maintain a distance of 50,000 kilometers from the station. Possible biological contamination. Admiral Cooper, I need your carrier's medical bay prepped for quarantine stat. Admiral James Cooper, the highest-ranking human officer in the fleet, didn't hesitate. Yes, Doc. Redirecting all non-essential power to medical systems. Kleck's mandibles dropped. Was this real? Even more shocking, his own commander, Supreme Fleet Marshal BZZ, a figure so lofty he'd once made an emperor wait for an audience, chimed in. Doc, should Zishian vessels maintain the same distance? Dr. Chin's response was immediate. Negative, Marshal. Your triple-filtered life support systems are exactly what we need. Permission to come aboard your flagship? I'm setting up a secondary containment zone. BZZ replied, Of course, Doc, as if he were a lowly ensign. Kleck's antenna tied itself in knots. The Supreme Fleet Marshal, bowing to a human doc? What was this power? As Dr. Chin's shuttle docked, Kleck scribbled furiously on his data pad. Asterisk, Doc authority transcends species, rank, and reason. Must learn her secrets, or we're all doomed to obey. Asterisk. The Zishian flagship's airlock hissed open, and Dr. Sarah Chun strode aboard like she owned the place, her white coat fluttering and her scrubs slightly wrinkled from the shuttle ride. No environmental protection gear? Was she insane? Your air filtration's better than any suit, she said breezily, already unpacking equipment with the speed of a supernova. Now listen up. I need these 3 cargo bays turned into isolation wards. Pronto. Yes, I know they're ammunition storage. Move the ammo to the backup holds, and don't make me repeat myself. Captain Kleck's 4 eyes blinked in rapid succession, his antenna practically vibrating with shock. Who was this woman? The audacity to commandeer ammo bays on a Zishian flagship. He clutched his data pad, scribbling furiously as Dr. Chun transformed the ship into her personal medical command center. What kind of power could override military protocol with such ease? The next 4 hours were a whirlwind of chaos, orchestrated by Dr. Chun with the precision of a maestro. She juggled rescue teams, barked orders to human and Zishian medical personnel, and, stars above, somehow downed 3 cups of coffee while intubating a patient with hands steady as steel. Kleck's mandibles clicked in awe. How was she doing this? A human captain, his uniform bristling with insignia, dared to protest when she ordered him to redirect their ship's power from weapons to life support. But, Doc, that'll leave us defenseless. We can't just... Dr. Chin cut him off, not even looking up from checking a patient's vital signs while updating quarantine protocols on her data pad. Captain, if you finish that sentence, I'll personally ensure your next physical includes every optional screening procedure known to modern medicine. Clear. The captain's face went ghost white, his bravado evaporating. Yes, Doc. Redirecting power now. Kleck's scales flushed pale blue. Did she just threaten a captain into submission? And why did it work? Kleck watched, mesmerized, as Dr. Chun ordered an admiral's flagship into a support position, commanded 3 Zishian medical teams like they were her personal assistants, reorganized the entire fleet's formation for optimal medical transport, and, can you believe it, made 4 different commanders say please and thank you without batting an eye. She diagnosed the unknown contagion, started treatment, and even found time to tell Supreme Fleet Marshal BZZ that his personal medical bay was outdated. Fascinating. Kleck whispered to junior observer Zepp, his voice trembling with academic glee. In a medical crisis, Doc authority stretches across species. It's like she's rewriting the laws of command. Zepp's scales turned a confused mauve, his antenna quivering. Captain, it's worse than that. She just told the cafeteria to stop serving hot dogs, called them an abomination against medical science, and everyone just agreed. Who has that kind of power? The situation hit its peak when the human admiral and Supreme Fleet Marshal BZZ stormed into the medical bay, demanding an update. Kleck braced himself, expecting a clash of titans. But Dr. Chun, without even glancing up from her patient, pointed at the door with a scalpel-sharp glare. Out, both of you. This is a sterile environment, and neither of you followed proper sanitization protocols. Go wash your hands like I showed you last time. Kleck's jaw dropped. The Supreme Fleet Marshal? Sent to wash his hands like a naughty cadet? Both officers retreated, looking like chastised schoolboys, their rank insignias suddenly meaningless. Zepp leaned in, his voice a frantic whisper. Captain, she's not even in our military. How is this happening? Kleck's antenna twitched sagely. Zepp, my boy, I'm starting to think that's the secret. Doc authority works because it's outside the chain of command. It's something bigger, something more powerful than rank. Zepp's eyes widened. More powerful than rank. What could that be? Just then, Dr. Chin swept past, updating patient charts with one hand and sipping coffee with the other. You two. Less chatting, more helping. Zeep, put those extra arms to work distributing supplies. Kleck, start documenting infection vectors. I want a full epidemiological report in 2 hours. Yes, Doc. They chorused, scrambling to obey before they even realized it. Kleck grinned as they hurried off. And that, Zepp, is exactly what I mean. By the time the crisis was contained, Dr. Chun had treated 27 patients, established new quarantine protocols for both fleets, reorganized 3 medical bays, and, unbelievably, improved cross-species medical communication. Oh, and she'd somehow convinced Supreme Fleet Marshal BZ to agree to mandatory wellness checks for all Zacian officers. How did she do it? Kleck sat in the observation room, watching her take a rare break, still reviewing charts, correcting a young medic's technique, and ordering someone to replace the pathetic coffee machine. Captain Kleck, she called, not looking up. I know you've been studying our medical command structure. Ready to learn how it really works? Kleck's antenna shot up, his scales tingling with excitement. Finally, the mystery of the doc would be unraveled. Yes, Doc, please, tell me everything. She glanced up, a sly smile tugging at her lips. First rule of medicine, Captain, the highest-ranking officer in any medical situation is the one who knows how to save your life. Got it. Kleck's mandibles clicked in awe. So simple, yet so profound. The briefing room aboard the Zacian flagship was packed to the brim, every seat filled with officers from Captain Kleck to Commander Blitz to the Supreme Fleet Marshal himself, all sitting at attention like eager cadets. Dr. Chin stood at the front, sipping coffee from a mug emblazoned with "Trust me, I'm a doctor." Was she about to unveil the secrets of the universe? Gentlemen, she began, setting her mug down with a flourish. Your confusion about medical authority comes from a big misunderstanding. You think power flows from the top down, all neat and color-coded. In medicine, authority comes from knowledge, not rank. Blitz raised a tentative hand, his antenna twitching. But surely there's a color-coded system? How else do you keep track? Dr. Chun smoothed her white coat, grinning. This coat's all we need. Though, let me tell you, keeping it clean is harder than surviving medical school. 8 years of coffee stains and chaos. Kleck's data pad was practically smoking as he scribbled notes. But how do you decide who's in charge in a medical crisis? He asked, leaning forward. Simple, she said. Who knows how to fix the problem? That's your boss right there. A first-year resident might outrank a senior surgeon if they're the expert on a rare condition. We call it practicing medicine because we're always learning, always adapting. Isn't that wild? The room fell silent, the Zacian officer's antenna quivering as this revelation sank in. Supreme Fleet Marshal BZ spoke slowly, his voice heavy with awe. You mean authority is based on competence? Dr. Chin's grin widened. Shocking, right? Here's another kicker. Every doc's authority comes with a duty to use it for the patient's benefit. We don't give orders to flex. We give orders because lives are on the line. Kleck's antenna whirled with excitement. So when you told the Admiral to redirect power, it wasn't about rank. Nope, she said. It was about saving lives. The Admiral got it. Same reason I've got you all drinking water instead of sugary sodas. Not because I love being a buzzkill, but because someone's got to keep you healthy. The room erupted in clicks and whistles, the officers buzzing with this revolutionary idea. Zepp piped up, his eyes wide. But what about the coffee? Why is that so critical? Dr. Chen laughed, a warm, infectious sound. Saving lives runs on caffeine, kid. Oh, and your theories about Doc Authority? Mind control powers? Warrior priests? Hilarious. Kleck's scales turned embarrassed purple. We were just thorough, he mumbled. Dr. Chen stood, her presence commanding. Medicine isn't about hierarchy, it's about responsibility. When I tell an admiral to sit down and shut up, it's not because I outrank him. It's because his heart condition outranks his pride. Got it. BZZ's antenna shot up. Is that why you insisted on updating our medical facilities? Bingo, she said. Also, you need to quit those late-night snacks. Your cholesterol's a mess. BZZ quickly hid a bag of chips under his desk, his scales flushing. Blitz summed it up, his voice awed. So Doc Authority exists because? Because sometimes staying alive trumps staying in charge, Dr. Chen finished. Now, who's ready for their overdue physicals? The room cleared out faster than a ship at warp speed, leaving Kleck and Dr. Chen alone. One last question, Doc, Kleck said, his antenna twitching. How do you get everyone to listen so fast? She winked, her eyes sparkling. Easy, Captain. I know where all the vaccines are stored. Kleck bolted down the corridor, his scales tingling with a mix of fear and admiration. Authority wasn't about rank, it was about care. But that mind control theory? He wasn't entirely ready to let it go. How else could she get warriors to ditch hot dogs? 6 months later, Captain Kleck stood proudly in the Zhejian Medical Command Center, its purple walls now bustling with white-coated Zhejian medical officers wielding unprecedented authority. Captain, Commander Blitz said, watching a senior general obediently swallow his vitamins under a Zhejian doctor's glare. Adopting the human medical system was a game-changer. Injury rates are down 60%. And can you believe it? Our troops are eating vegetables. Kleck grinned, his blue stripes gleaming. It's incredible, sir, though Dr. Chen nearly lost it when our doctors tried color-coding medical specialties. 8 years of med school, and you want me to wear green? She said. Blitz chuckled. A wise human once said, never argue with someone who can prescribe extra shots. Just then, they watched Supreme Fleet Marshal BZZ get turned away from the new coffee station by a junior medical officer. Sir, Dr. Chen said no caffeine after 1600 hours. Something about your sleep patterns. BZZ, commander of the entire Zhejian fleet, looked sheepish. Don't tell Dr. Chen I tried. Dr. Chen's voice rang out from around the corner. Too late, Marshal. Dental check tomorrow morning. Don't be late. Kleck and Blitz stifled laughs as BZZ scurried off, muttering about terrifying human doctors. Kleck sipped his regulation-approved coffee, his antenna thoughtful. You know, sir, I finally get why humans say laughter's the best medicine. How's that? Blitz asked. Because watching the Supreme Fleet Marshal get scolded about his coffee makes my mandatory exercise sessions feel like a breeze. Dr. Chen's voice echoed from down the hall. I heard that. Double physical training for both of you. Kleck's scales paled, but he couldn't help but laugh. Some authorities were truly universal, and Dr. Chen? She was the most universal of all.